Hello everybody, this is Multi24 Gaming with Extreme Landings Pro, and today we will be doing something a little different. So here we have our RWB-77. That is what Extreme Landings calls this plane. Now it is definitely a Boeing plane, as you can see by the symbol, and of course the 77 has the Boeing design, and there's a lot of talk on my channel and debate about whether this is a Boeing 767, 777, or 787. Now, Rortus, for copyright reasons, has not given it like perfectly and completely copied Boeing's design. But there's a lot of talk, and I'm rather curious myself. What I want to do is figure out exactly what this plane is for myself, and I'm sure you guys would be interested as well. So what I've done is I've actually taken pictures and photos. What we're going to do is we're going to use our cosmetic looks to determine which of the planes this most closely resembles. So some of them I've created comparisons, others I just have a ton of pictures, and we're just going to look at this plane and see what we think. So, just like take a look at it. Here's the plane. Got our flaps. The flaps are very important, very different. We've got our rudder in the back. Everything seems to be in working condition. Cockpit. I won't be checking the cockpit or anything. I'm pretty sure they are all rather similar, but you know, for the sake of it, you turn on an engine. But here we go. So wrong side. Over here. I want this over here. Okay, so here we have our special thing that can go there, go in there. Okay, so we have the folder for the 767, the 777, of course the 787, and then all. So these are the comparisons I have. So let's take a look at the 767 first, okay? And we can figure out what most closely resembles this plane. We're going to hit resume, and yeah, here we go. Let's just go back to our view here. We're just going to figure out what this is. So, as you can see, I've only got a couple of pictures of the 767. This is probably by far the best. It gives you a perfect example of basically what it is. Here's the APU right here, auxiliary power unit. Belly design has this thing here. I really don't know much about airplanes. What I do know is that they look... Okay, this is characteristic too. The landing gear, there's only 4 wheels. As you can see, there's 2 on the side and then 2 on the other. A non-toothed output for the engine. The 787 has that, and a rounded, or not rounded, but sort of a bumpy nose. Now a lot of you guys will be like, you know nothing about airplanes, but really what I'm doing is I'm just taking a look at each one, and we're going to determine, here's the Boeing design for the 767. It's definitely the oldest of the 3. And then here's a close-up of different parts of it while landing. Okay, so let's just go over to our 777 now. I got a lot more pictures of this one. Still the bumpy nose. Here it's got a very similar, what do you call it, reverse thrusters to the plane we have. Non-toothed jet exhaust output. APU looks very similar to the plane. It's sort of pointed. Let's see here. APU is the auxiliary power unit. It's sort of like an extra backup engine. In case you don't know, this is important right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wheels. So there's 3 on that side and 3 on the other side. That's something that our plane does not have. Of course, here's our engine. There's it landing. There's a good view of the nose, the front landing gear. Here's a good view of the APU in the back, the pointed sort of flat APU there, horizontally flat, non-toothed. The flaps are very important as well. Here's a good view of the landing gear, and I will also mention all of these pictures came off of Google Images, and I programmed Google Images using tools to use non-copyrighted pictures, so none of these pictures should be copyrighted. Flaps are important as well. Okay, so 787. Here's some pictures, just to give you an idea of how to tell the difference. Okay, this is important. Look at the APU in the back. You can tell that it's rounded, circular exhaust. Now, here is the toothed engine output that I was talking about earlier. What else is characteristic about the plane? The air brakes or flaps are less how do I say this, square and like separated right here. It seems to be more unified with the rest of the wing. And definitely the wings are a lot more curvy with this plane. And we know how much we like our curves in planes, of course. The nose, very round indeed. That's definitely important. There's a good overall look of the entire airplane. Of course, the 4 landing gear this time. There's a good view of the engine output. The reverse thrusters are very similar to all the other planes. This also shows the flaps, very unified. First thrusters, and one taking off, the flaps partially down. You can see all that's a really good picture. I really do like that one. So, and just in case you're wondering, I have absolutely no clue what plane this is. It could be an Airbus or it could be a 7-something-7. But at this point, I really don't want to spend the time figuring it out. I literally just got the thumbnail. Usually I have it. Oops, not there. Usually I have a winter thumbnail or a background image. Regardless, now what we're going to do is we are going here. We are going to compare our different. Here are my results, but I'll pull those up in a sec. First, let's compare the noses. All right? So, here we have our 767, rounded nose. That's basically all we have to do. Like, not completely rounded, but like sort of the melon. It's got the melon head. It reminds me of a whale. There's sort of the melon head, and then there's the nose. It's got a independent nose, we could say. Now, that is very much like the Extreme Landings Pro plane, which is the RW. I've already forgotten. Like, I swear, it's a weird name. This is just the Extreme Landings Pro Boeing 7-something-7 plane. So as you can see, the nose has the melon head. 777 also has the melon head, while the 787 does not. As you can see, it is very round. Very rounded nose. Here, we do not have that. So, the 787 is sort of out of the question when it comes to the nose. Alright? And we can also look at some of the other pictures we've got of the different planes. Like the 787, you can definitely tell the nose here is very round nose here. You can't really tell right there, but as you can see, even down here, there it is, round nose. While the other two planes, I should actually just keep all of these up. Sorry for my, I mean, I tried to be as organized as I possibly could, but it can only be a certain amount. Here we go. This is nice. Now I don't have to open all these folders. You can see here, it's got the sort of melon head here. It's a little more difficult to tell, but you can still tell. This is the best place to see it. For here, 777, melon head. A little more difficult to tell there. But here we have our melon head. With the independent nose. Alright, so next up we have the engines. Okay, the engines are fairly important. So, as you can see, our 767, the engine has a flat engine output. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it, the jet engine output, because I don't really know what else to call it. I'm sure there's a technical term, but I am not an aviator. I can assure you that. So, as you can tell, this plane has very flat in the end, not toothed like the 787. And another notable thing is you can see the 787 has this sort of pointy thing in the back. No idea what that is. Seriously, guys, don't yell at me for my, knowledge. This is the last time I'm gonna say it. I don't know anything about airplanes, but I do know that that is pointy, and that is not. And, well, that's pointy. Wait. Oh, okay. So it appears that our engines here are pointy too. Look at that. Okay. So this plane with its engine actually more closely resembles the 777 because it doesn't have the toothed back, but it does have that. This doesn't have the toothed back, but it does have the pointy thing. All right. I hope I remembered that or saw that with my calculations here. Yeah, I'll have to look at that. Yeah, the engine only resembles the 777. All right. So next we have the flaps. The flaps are important as well, just as everything is. The 7067, this is a big deal. Look at that. Lost it. Sorry, guys. Alright, don't mind these crosses. I don't really know where they came from. So, as you can see, this part of the flap is very notable, and nothing else is here. Nothing's coming down with that. Over here, there's a break here, and then there's this. It doesn't really help us with the air brakes. It's a little difficult to tell. This plane, on the other hand, has something similar, but this part of the flap does go down as well, while this actually stays raised. So it's a little hard, to gauge, but the 767 definitely doesn't fit. Now this one, I would say, fits slightly more, but not, because, of course, the flaps aren't separated where they should be here. I think it most closely resembles the 777 because of the flap situation here, and then I do believe that right here, this looks like it could be the air brake. Well, as you can see, I'm flexing the air brake there. Of course, we can do that right now for you guys. There's the air brake. I'll put the flaps down. These flaps take centuries to go down, by the way. As you can see, the whole thing is going down, while on the 767, it does not do that. Finally down. Thank you. There you go. So, as you can see, our conclusion is it basically looks most like the 777, and it has some of the characteristics of the 787, doesn't fit the 767. Lastly, we have the landing gear. So, 767, 4 wheels per landing gear, rear landing gear. 777, 6 wheels per landing gear. That's interesting. That's different. 787, 4 wheels, and then extreme landings, 4 wheels. So in extreme landings, it most closely resembles the 787 and the 767. Now, this is where we're getting a little confused, because some only resemble the 777. Or 777. So what do? Obviously, what Rortus has done is they've combined all the planes together in different aspects. So, in conclusion, we're going to pull up my sort of chart that I made. The engines most closely resemble the 777 due to the pointy thing in the back being part of the 777, but not the toothed. No teeth, but has the pointy thing. That's what gives us the 777. The nose is the melon head, which is the same as the 767 and 777. I keep calling it the 777. Just deal with it. It's 77 and then 7. So here we have the gear. Most closely resembles the 767 and the 787. That obviously doesn't compute with the engines, flaps, and of course, because of their amazing, unified dip, as well as the air brakes being on top, most closely represent the 777 and the 787. So, what I have concluded is that Rortus, the RW, whatever it's called, -77, is all of them. Basically combined. Rortus took the best of all of them, maybe. I don't know. Of course, the 787 is probably the best of the best. It's the newest Dreamliner. But what they've done, so as not to completely copyright, Boeing itself, because they're not a big company, and I'm sure that they've not, gone to Boeing and, paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get the rights to, basically produce and sell, models of their plane. There we are. So, what am I going to call it for my videos? I will call it the 777, mostly because it fits most of the criteria. It's a Boeing 700 series. I could call it that. I'm not sure. Tell me in the comments what you want me to call it. I could call it the Boeing 700 series. I could call it the Super Slim Jet. I could call it anything. But basically, what I've gauged based on all of these pictures is that here it represents the 767 and the 777. Here it represents only the 777 because no teeth, but the pointy thing. Here it most closely represents the 767 and 777 or 787 because, of course, The flaps, or I apologize, I thought that we were talking about the gear here. Of course, the flaps, it does not represent the 767, but it does these two. And lastly, the gear does not compute with the 777. Now, maybe this plane was modeled after the 777, and they just decided, no, we're going to change the gear so it doesn't, they can't copyright us, or even if they did. Regardless, I haven't really looked at, lighting positions or anything like that, but I think it's safe to say that we can call this plane the 700 series or the Boeing 777. Anyway, I know I haven't really clarified which one it is, but at the same time, I've basically clarified what it is. It's all of them. Rortus has not has decided not to completely copy Boeing, and they decided to make a mix of all the planes for their Dreamliner, or at least that's what I'm gonna call it. So we might as well take the plane off because you probably want to see some gameplay. If you've actually stuck through it, I'll reward you for that. We're gonna attempt a barrel roll just to finish the video off. Thank you all for sticking around. That's another thing I did forget to mention. Actually, let me touch on that. Sorry, let me get the flaps up. Let's touch on the APU. The APU most closely represents, of course, I'm going to just stop right here. So you can see the 787 has the circular APU. The 777 has the flat APU, and the 767 has another circular APU. So, that is another thing to take into account. Right here, we also have another one that only fits the 777. So I will call it the Boeing 777. Now, that barrel roll I promised you guys. Alright. Hopefully we won't die. I'm gonna hit time, get our speed up. Alright, speed is up. Okay, guys, we're gonna do this barrel roll in the cockpit. Oh boy. Oh boy. There's the sun. There's the sun. Okay. We're spinning around. Nope. 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 We're stalling. Alright. I shall deal with this the cool way. We're picking up speed again. Oh, not fast enough though. Alright. We're gonna lose it. We're gonna lose it. We're gonna lose it. Pull up. Pull up. Yes. Are we gonna make it? It's difficult to tell. No, we're not gonna make it. I suppose a pretty good explosion is worth watching here. Regardless, I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this informative video. Not necessarily informative, but logical, as I do not know the names of any of these parts of the plane, and I am completely a aviation retard. But we basically, using logic and looks, we basically identified the plane to be a Boeing 777. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.